Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Infinite Podcast. A very weird episode because we're pre-recording. I was just saying in the green room that it feels weird not being live. It's a new format this week because I am currently working, but I will hopefully be able to be in the chat. If I'm not, love you all. You're all amazing in the chat. Let me introduce our panel. Infinite, Umbra, the Ascended Gamer, the UE5 aficionado, and the authority, the man who demands nothing less than that premium PC gaming experience. Umbra, welcome back. It's been a day, literally one day since we went live, but how have you been in that one day?
I've been great. A lot of things have happened in a day. So, the world can change instantly in a day. But I've been good, man. I'm happy to be here with you all as always, but we're going to keep it relatively short today, so that's even better. Got to get out of here. Got life to take care of, all of us. So, yeah, happy to be here. Get this talk up and have this content up for everybody to come and check out.
Absolutely, and we've got Blue, the sensible gamer, the introspective brain of the Infinite Podcast. She never slips unless it's BJ Blauskowitz, and is always once, twice, three times the lady. Makes you laugh every time. Blue, welcome back. How's your day been?
It does. I can't help it. Best gaff of all time, I guess. It's been good. Just in case Ben Ains is out there listening, or any of the other guys on their show, congratulations today for your 300th show. That's quite amazing. And I don't know, Riskit, since you've been asleep during our daytime, Dan is actually stepping away from the show. He announced it after the show with a very clever letter that he did, because he said, I got upstaged by Biden's letter. No, sir. So he wrote a letter kind of in the same vein and posted that today. So best of luck to you. I'm sure you will be very missed on the show. But man, what a great milestone for them, hitting 300. It's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually looking for when you started saying it before you mentioned Dan. I was looking for the post, but I couldn't find it in time to bring it up on screen.
I'll put it in the chat for you. Yeah,
is absolutely hilarious. Obviously, because Biden's announced himself he's stepping down, so that means Trump's president. Congratulations, Trump. Kidding. I'm kidding. But it was funny that when I posted that in the chat, Donte believed me, because he should know better really by now. I mean, yeah, come on. He knows I'm kidding. But yeah, he posted a letter in exactly the same vein as Biden's sort of social media post. So that was weird that happened. We got a very different type of show for you guys this week. It's not based on the news of the week. It's more based on just topics that I sort of wanted to talk about. I didn't get a chance to get together with the crew. It's very impromptu, so thank you to the panel. You guys are amazing for being able to come through again like a day later at short notice. So if anyone knows me, they know that I'm highly unorganized. So the panel members have to put up with that quite often. So I apologize to all you guys. You guys are amazing. The letter, I'll bring that letter up because it's hilarious. We'll do a quick readout and then we'll jump into topics, because this definitely deserves a shout out, and a shout out to Ains and crew for hitting their 300th show. I can't even imagine us getting to 300. I'm sure we'll get there one day, but it's absolutely nuts. So I'll just share this on the screen now. If you don't know the Bitcast, it's an amazing podcast, and I highly recommend it. So Daniel A. Rodriguez, 21st July 2024, says, my fellow Americans, over the past 6 to 7 years, 67 years, we have made a great progress as a podcast. Today, Seasoned Gaming has the strongest viewership leading in the world. We made historic investments in rebuilding our podcast, in bringing on a renowned reviewer, Tie Guy Travis, and expanding our fan base with the incredible addition of Hoaglaw. We provided critically acclaimed reviews of numerous titles from a growing list of contributors. Seasoned Gaming has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the Seasoned Gaming community. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst gaming crisis since the release of the Soldier Boy console. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as a member of this panel. And while it has been my intention to be here until the very end, I believe it is in the best interest of my family and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as a husband and a father for the foreseeable future. I will probably not speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have supported the show. And I want to thank Ainsley Bowden for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the seasoned gaming community for their faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing seasoned gaming can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember that we are seasoned gaming. He signed it. It's amazing. And yeah. I actually wasn't following him. So as soon as I saw that, I immediately followed. He is hilarious. Go and check out that podcast. 300 unbelievable episodes. So well done to them. We'll jump into the topics, like I said, which is a little bit interesting. So I just want to take a quick look back at 2024 and how we sort of see the year is going. Obviously, 2023 was a humongous year, a massive year. Probably one of the best years, I think a lot of people have said, in gaming. 2024, I feel like personally has been a little bit light. So I guess from we can look at this from I'm more looking at it from a games perspective as what's happened, not really what's happened with the news. And that's my dog barking at me. I've been a little bit disappointed with 2024. Hang on.
Let the puppy in.
Yeah, he's literally barking at me and people are now messaging me. He's stubborn. He's a staffy. He's nuts. I've been a little bit disappointed, frankly, with 2024. There hasn't been a whole lot for me. We've had a few bangers. We've had Helldivers 2, which is if you're on PlayStation or PC, that was a bit of a hit. I love that one. Holly's favorite. I didn't get to see her roll her eyes because I got another screen up. So I'll kick to the panel. So how do you think 2024 has been going so far? Like, how are you feeling about it? Do you think it's been a bit of a rough year as far as games go, or are you happy with what we've got this year? Blue, I'll kick to you.
For me personally, I know 2023 was just like an absolute massive year for a lot of people. I obviously enjoyed gaming in 2023, but a lot of the games that came out last year I felt weren't quite as exciting for me as a lot of other people. I do feel like 2024 by the end is going to be more suited towards my taste, which is exciting. There's tons and tons of games that have come out of varying varieties. The first half of the year has been better for indies. And as an indie fan, that's exciting for me. And not Indiana Jones. I mean, actual small games. But having said that, there's been a lot of surprise games, I think, that have kind of taken the world by storm, which has been fun to watch, like Helldivers, like Pal World. Um, and then there's been a lot of remakes and remasters at the beginning of the year when you actually go back and look at the list, which is notable. And I mean, we're at that point in gaming, right, where there's a lot of good games that just don't play that great anymore, right? Or they look a little rough around the edges to what we're used to now. So it is kind of nice to see the older, and I'm talking older games, get reboots, remasters, remakes, like whatever the appropriate is for that. So I don't think it's a bad trend, depending on what it is. But I think
You mean like
a lot
The
of
Last of Us 2? Like that kind of old?
yeah, that probably that wasn't one that hit my bingo card. Of course, I personally, it's for me, I very much just don't like that game, so I'll never play it again. But whether it was warranted, that's for you as the consumer to decide if that's something you wanted to put your money into. And then there's a lot of games that I just didn't have time. I missed. I've been trying to, catch up on a few games that came out last year that I didn't get to in the meantime. I know Unicorn Overlord came out in March, and that was one that, like, I know swept a ton of people off of their feet. And I looked at it and it didn't quite seem like my thing, but it has huge praise. So there's that. There's a few PC only games that came out this year that really got a lot of notoriety, or a lot of traction, at least in press and, kind of retweets and letting it get out there that these games are available, but they're not quite on console or don't have any attention depending on which one they are. So there's just a ton. Like, you could easily fill your bingo card for the rest of the year with a lot of the stuff that's already come out. You just have to go back and look, because I feel like a lot of the games that have come out, they don't necessarily get the same level of attention as some of the bigger games, some of the blockbuster games that come out. So, um, if you are kind of in this lull waiting for September to come around, and the things that have come out recently don't have your attention, and maybe you don't want to get into your backlog, just look at the list for what's come out this year. There's definitely at least 2 or 3 things on there that I think everybody could find to pop back into.
Yeah. While I was just going through the list, I was a little bit unprepared and thrown off because my dog was barking at me. He's stubborn and willful, and I don't recommend getting a staffy. I've had staffies all my life, but I never regret it. But anyway, that's enough about my dog. But yeah, I was having a look at the list back through the year. And we kicked off with Prince of Persia. This is sort of how my gaming year went. We kicked off with Prince of Persia. There was Power World. I didn't really gel to that too hard. Helldivers 2, of course, I love, but that was only on PC and PlayStation. Banish's Ghosts of New Eden. That's in my backlog. I'm looking at that one. I'm not too sure. We of course had Skull and Bones, which I cannot recommend. Final Fantasy Rebirth. That's a bit of a weird name, right? Rebirth. Ugh. I kind of think of another word when like afterbirth. Final Fantasy. So, I need to get to that. That's probably my backlog. Unicorn Overlord, like you mentioned, I didn't get into that. I couldn't get into Dragon's Dogma 2. If you've got a character creator that's that complicated and then just a slow start, I'm already bored. That's my attention span is not that long. So shamefully, I couldn't get into that. No Rest for the Wicked, which I did play on GeForce Now. Looks like it's got good bones. So I'm looking forward to that, like whenever they release it finally on console, and then I'll get into it. Played that Tales of Kenzera by I can't remember the Resurgent Studios, or it's a Boubacar Salim, his studio. Stellar Blade, which obviously Umbra is a massive fan of, Blue, an even bigger fan. V Rising, which dropped for me on PlayStation 5. That was okay. It's not my favorite. Obviously, we got Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, X Defiant, which I've played a little bit of. And then First Descendant, it's not been a huge year as opposed to 2023 at the same time this year. I felt like I had been in this massive gaming, like just game after game after game, and I was trying to get through all these games. And then by this time of the year, I think I'd sort of, there was a little bit of a lull, and I was like, whoo, geez, and then it kept coming. So, Umbra, how are you feeling about this year? You think it's anywhere close to 2023 for you? What are your thoughts on it? Is he talking?
Oh, sorry. I'm muted and unmuted and muted back. So no, man, I've had I don't know if I would say this year is bad or worse than 2023. I think we just had so many standout titles in 2023 that it kind of makes this feel like that. But if you expand and open your, I guess, window of games that you would try out, there's so many out there that people are not giving credit to. For instance, for me, just this year, I did a list of it. and I'm probably missing some, but like just this year alone, playing from Xbox and PC, I've played Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Pal World, Tekken 8, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Helldivers 2, which we all loved except Holly apparently. Uh, what else? Last Epoch, which me and my boy Casual were on heavy. I got about 68 hours in that. Contra Galuga, Dragon's
What
Dogma
was that?
2,
Was
Contra,
that Ginkgo biloba?
Ginkgo Biloba's cousin, Dragon's Dogma 2, No Rest for the Wicked, which Holly, I'm sure you played. I remember you played as well, right? You loved it too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we all played it. It was
It
fantastic.
was
Yeah.
really good. Really good.
Hmm.
Stellar Blade, of course, which was excellent. I gave it an 8 out of 10, Stellar Blade. I don't know if people didn't give it a chance, but I thought it was pretty good. Holly, I don't know why you're shaking your head. Uh I'm gonna gift you a copy. Tales of Kenzara Zal, Hellblade 2. Right now, of course, we're playing Flintlock, and it's actually growing on me. I did not believe it would, but it is. It's not. It still has issues, but it's once you kind of navigate them, you kind of get around it. Flintlock, Dungeons of Hinterberg. I got to start on that soon, and of course, the first Descendant. I don't know what the drum was for. The first Descendant, as well. So like those are games I am playing or about to play with Dungeons of Hinterberg, for instance. And then if you look forward into August and beyond, I mean, we have Star Wars Bounty Hunter coming out. We have what else is it? Black Myth Wukong. For some of our Hoove brothers, I'm sure they might be a few, maybe two or three of them might play Concord. I don't know. I'm not sure. So there are some things coming out. Visions of Mana. Shout out to my brother. How did I forget his damn name? Miles Dumpierre, who was a big fan of the Mana series. So also going back thinking about it, he also had a game that he worked at his company and him he works for now, which was Killer Clowns from Outer Space that released in I believe June as well. And of course, we also had the Shadow of the Erd Tree, which I haven't jumped into yet. So there have been some heavy hitters this year for sure.
Outlast
You know,
Trials isn't on this list either, and that was in March.
oh,
And
see, that's
I
another
played
one.
man. I wish that I had people that wanted to play that more often.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well,
It's
I'm
so
here,
good.
but you have ignored me since I've been PC Master Race, so you've left me in the dust. I get it, if
I feel like
I,
I feel like that's the other way around. I feel like Umbra's just
Yeah.
completely ghosted
Yeah.
the entire
Yeah.
community.
He's like
He's like, oh, I'm on
what is
PC.
an Xbox? What is an
don't listen to them
X what?
guys. Anybody hearing this, they have kind of excommunicated me since I have been on PC. They don't talk with me. I don't know why we have a horse sound for PC still, but yeah. And then I mean, also too, we have other good games coming out later in like September. For instance, Astrobot. Like I'm really hyped for Astrobot. We got doesn't that Age of Mythology come out as well? Yeah, Age of
Age of
Mythology,
Yes.
Mythology,
Yeah.
Warhammer,
Stalker
a
2.
Ara,
Yeah, Our History
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Untold.
Frostpunk 2.
Did you said
That's all
Warhammer, right?
September.
Yeah. Space
Hmm.
Marine
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of good stuff this year that you know. I think there is still much to look forward to. I think even and we kind of typically ignore Nintendo when we talk about this too, but Nintendo has a few as well, like the Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, for instance.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That
Mhm.
was
yeah,
good.
some good ones out there that I think this year has been solid overall. When you really look at it and kind of get out of the mind frame of just those heavy hitters that you're typically probably attuned to, there are some good games that released this year. Definitely a solid year overall.
Well, and
Uh,
it's interesting, right? Because that just shows how we're all very different gamers. The three of us are all very different gamers, right? Like we all overlap on certain things, but like I find this year to be better for me than both of you. And I think both of you so far have found 23 to just sort of hit that sweet spot for you. And it's nothing wrong with any of the games. It's just, like our preference. Well, are, but like our
Yeah.
preferences are different, right? And that's the beauty of gaming. And so stop giving people crap when they like to play Cyberpunk or Dredge or Dave the
or
Diver
or
or
Stellar Blade
or Civ
or
Or
6
Stellar Blade.
or Stellar Blade,
Or
right?
Stellar Blade.
no, that don't that's not on the pass list. That game will always be there. Yeah.
There's also some games I forgot to mention just on Steam alone that I've been playing. So there's a lot, and I agree with you. Like it's just I don't
Oh,
know
sorry, Rob.
why. I still don't get
Or
why.
Riskit, Spider Heck. Hello.
Oh,
Right.
Spider Heck. That is awesome. I love that game. Spider Heck is amazing.
Spider
Yeah,
Heck.
Or
Spider Heck's.
Umbra, Played Up. Played
Yeah.
Up.
Oh yeah. Played up. We enjoyed that as well.
That
Exactly.
came out this year.
Until again, Holly abandoned us and just moved on. And that was really fun when we were all gaming together. Until then, what else? You mentioned Dave the Diver. I did play a bit of that on Steam as well too. So
I
that's
love Dave the
very
Diver.
very dramatic music. I don't know. Why.
Where yeah, that was because
I
of her look that she was giving you. I was trying to match the music to her mood. I probably should have zoomed in and done the old like do do
Yeah.
do.
Is Riskit single? If he's not, how?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been living the life of a single man lately because the missus is not here. But
You're gonna have to get back into practice.
yeah, well, I'm
Being
not.
nice.
I am looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to the like not having any of my own time again. Because to be honest, I've just been relishing having my own time. It's been absolutely amazing. This year's been all right for me. And Umbra, you wanted to sort of talk about what we think is game of the year, and I think by July, it's pretty safe to do that. So for me, okay, it's a tough one. For me, I'm still sitting with Prince of Persia as my sort of game of the year. I don't think anything has quite eclipsed that. Helldivers 2 wasn't bad. I love that. The problem is, here's the problem with Helldivers. I did love that. I don't have a huge core group to play with constantly. And what I found as the game went on, people got leveled up. And then what would happen is you would just drop into a thing. And if you don't just follow around the strongest dude, and no one ever does, the whole group just splits up into a whole bunch of different, like, and people are just dying left, right, and center. You got to keep bringing them back, and then you die because, yeah, it sort of became unfun because of that. I think that's a
Does
great
it
game
not?
if you're playing together with friends,
And it doesn't
unless it's
like if
Umbra
you're just
because he runs
matching
away.
randomly, it doesn't match you with people of your same level.
No, it doesn't.
That's
No.
a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped in because, as you guys know, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, so I dropped in for
Where's
a
your
quick
horse
bash.
sound? Look, he didn't give himself the horse sound. There you go.
And I dropped in for a quick bash, and yeah, I think it dropped me in with like a level 50, and I'm a level 20, and then there was like a level 5, and I'm like, what is this level 5 dude doing here? Like,
And it's
yeah,
also
you get it.
it became a meta game too, right? Where
Yeah,
if you didn't have certain weaponry or whatever, or
you won't
people
survive.
people
Yeah,
not only would you not survive, people would kick you. So
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you all can't be that selective now. Like the numbers are going down, so you're gonna have to accept this level 5 with a level 50 and 20. But yeah,
Do you
so it
know what
became
that?
what's that?
You know what
Like
that level 5 dude? He was the guy in Star Trek wearing the red outfit
right.
when we beamed down.
The red shirt.
This guy's
Mhm.
not going to make it. He's not going to make it. So yeah, my game of the year at the moment is my dog is being a nightmare. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's literally just staring at me and crying for no reason. He just wants attention. It's like having a
He's a good boy.
second lady in there. Sorry. So Prince of Persia is sort of my pick for game of the year. Blue, where are you at with it? What's your game of the year at the moment? And this is not to win the competition. This is your
Yeah.
personal game of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so far, honestly, the game I've had the most fun with this year that's come out, completely honest, is Outlast Trials. That game is so friggin' fun. And it's completely dependent on the fact that when I played with 3 of my friends, right? I think it would still be fun if I haven't gone in and just like random match made to try to play with just, but it is so much fun when you have a group of people that you can play with. It's not like game of the year material, but it is generally the most fun game I've played. And then beyond that, I guess, there's an argument brewing or that kind of pops up, and it has a couple times in the past, but especially this year, about DLC and if a game could be considered for game of the year due to DLC, right? Like last year there was some controversy with Cyberpunk getting the best, or being in the category for best support or something like that, right? For the Phantom Liberty DLC. But this year it's Elden Ring. Like the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is bigger than probably 70% of these games that came out already in quantity or in size, right? And it's fantastic. And so besides Outlast Trials, which is amazing and it has its place and it is the most fun I've had, the Elden Ring DLC is just, it's spectacular.
I got to get on that.
So that's a conversation that, at some point would be
Yeah.
a good argument to have about when do you, when do you chop it off, or do you like create a new category just for DLCs that have come out that year and have, something around that, or what qualifies it for reconsideration, I guess.
Didn't they have that kind of a situation though last year at the VGAs? Was it I guess considered best ongoing when Cyberpunk had that
I
expansion or
literally
whatever?
just said that.
Right. So that's what I mean. Like, so they
Yeah,
already have a
yeah.
category for it, right? So like
You
this would be,
weren't
I think,
listening.
Erdtree. I heard you but didn't hear
Well,
you.
but that was like typical man. Like but that was part of the argument though, is the fact that ongoing
Yeah,
should really be, to me, an ongoing game would be a
like
game that's dropping
multiplayer.
content or like a
Yeah,
Yeah.
seasonal based thing or something like that, right?
I get you.
Like a
Yeah.
Not a
one-time
DLC.
DLC, right? Right.
See, I was
Mhm.
Or
listening.
even like No Man's Sky, I would not consider that an ongoing or
Oh,
appropriate
I
for an
would.
I think
ongoing.
that's kind of ongoing right there. Yeah, that fits more to
It's
that
Nah,
than.
but it's not. I don't know.
it's
Uh,
had
Yeah.
it's had
that one's a
16
little more
updates.
vague. Yeah, but
All you heard was yeah.
I heard that wolf one. Yeah, I
That
heard that yelp. Yeah,
was funny.
he had timing. That dog's got timing.
Yeah. Um,
He's literally harassing the shit out of me, like for no reason.
you also had games that like didn't hit my radar. Like, well, I played the demo of it, but it wasn't for me. That I'm sure is probably going to be in conversation of game of the year, and that's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's probably going to be the one that gets it. I'm going to guess because I know it has a crazy high meta, so that is probably in a conversation for that.
Mhm.
But he
You did,
just wants to know
yeah,
your game, right? Like
yeah, I
not,
know.
not based on like, right,
Yes,
like
thank you for woman
award
splaining
games.
that to me,
Yeah, you're
Holly.
welcome. Yeah, it's one back at you. Hmm. Maybe
This
next time
lady,
you listen when I talk
yeah,
about Cyberpunk and actually
she
like listen.
she does not let up, Riskit. Man. Anyway, I was going to say, and I was
Just like his dog.
listening, kinda.
You weren't.
I was
Otherwise, you
special.
wouldn't have repeated it like it was a new idea. Like,
I was, I was twittering.
see.
Yes,
He does that. You can literally tell if you're having a conversation with him when he's doing that. Dog. Yeah. Good. Good.
This is going well, Riskit. This is,
special guest dog.
that's right.
But
It's not Donte and his cat. It's
right.
Riskit and his
I know.
dog.
Did you guys see the video I posted last night in the chat? He like
Which one?
bolted in just out of nowhere, like
yeah.
for no reason. He just bolted in and started barking at me like I was an intruder in my own house. I'm like, what is happening here, dude?
You
Yeah,
know they say dogs
he's
and cats can see spirits. Maybe you had a spirit on your shoulder or something.
he's a little bit, no, he's just a little bit crazy, man. If you've ever dealt with the staffy for any amount of time, they are literally nuts. He sleeps under the covers next to me with his head on the pillow, and I'll be sleeping, right? And then this wet nose will just be like in my eye socket while I'm sleeping. So that wakes me up and I'm like, what the hell? And then he will just stare at me and start crying until I lift the covers so he can go under, turn around, make as much scratching and wake me the fuck up properly. And then he'll just come out, plop his head on the thing and then breathe into my mouth. He's
spoiled.
He's just
I'm
such
very
a blessing.
excited to hear about how it's going to come back when the missus comes back.
Yeah.
There's going to be a rude adjustment for that puppy.
He is spoiled for sure.
I have lost audio. I'll continue on without me. What's your game of the year, bro?
Yeah, so my personal game of the year, it is tough to really narrow it down. Out of all the games that I played and put so much time into, and I forgot to even mention Octopath Traveler 2, by the way. I put in 200 plus, 240 something hours into Octopath Traveler 2. So, I really freaking enjoyed that game. So it's kind of tough for me to narrow it down, but that would be one of them. Then again, it goes back to the conversation we had of talking about games being game of the year that weren't released in this year. Octopath Traveler 2 is an older game. It's a year, 2 years old? A year old, 2 years, something like that. So it's not a current new title, so I'm not going to put it as game of the year, just off principle. If I'm going to say what did grab me heavily this year, Helldivers 2, Last Epoch, and No Rest for the Wicked, and what else? Stellar Blade. I'm going to be honest. All of those really grabbed me and made me grab back. With Stellar Blade, for instance. I did that for you. I promise I did that for you. Isn't she lovely? She looks so upset with me. Stellar Blade, I think, if I had to really be honest, is one of those games where I don't think it's superb or anything. I think I gave it an 8 out of 10. The story is not superbly told. I think it's kind of the voice acting is so, but man, it's just a fully nice realized world from a developer who previously made nothing like that. And I just love the aesthetics of the world. It's a very post-apocalyptic kind of futuristic, type world. It's just cool. I think they did a really, really solid job. I was just impressed overall. And it's got its shortcomings for sure, but it's just a really good time. But if I had to really narrow it down, it is tough, man. I'm gonna go with Helldivers 2. Just off the enjoyment I had with it, even with us all gaming and playing it, despite Holly protests. Her protest at it. I think I had a lot of fun playing that in general. Just pure fun. Helldivers 2 will be my game of the year right now.
Yeah, I'm still having audio issues, but you're coming through my computer, so I hope that's not coming through the actual the show. Well, I don't know what's going on, software issues, whatever. But I can still hear you, so that's the main thing. Yeah, I guess that sort of goes to how slim the year is for me. If hell, yeah, I don't know, yeah, it was a lot of fun. You did run away a lot. Holly got very upset a few times.
You also blew us up a lot.
Shot me, and you
right.
shot me. So
Exactly. Yeah. Keep that
I'm
included.
the only useful person on this team.
I was useful.
Trash.
I ran because Riskit was shooting us. That's the context he left out. You see,
so you left me behind.
Hey, somebody's got to pay. It ain't gonna be me.
I can't be blamed.
Remember
I can't be
that.
blamed. Look, so we sort of did touch on this a little bit. Guys, please hit the like button, share us out. We go live 8 p.m. EST every Friday. If you're in, we don't go live every Friday because this one's not technically live, but we will have a show. If you're in the east of Australia, that's 10 a.m. And in the west, that's 8 a.m. We sort of touched on this, but games coming up that we're super excited for. And we do have limited time. I was going to pick a few, but for me, it's got to be Space Marine 2. this game looks absolutely fire. I think this is going to scratch my Gears of War itch. And I think they when they were making the original Gears, they leaned heavily into that, or sort of pulled heavily from that sort of Space Marine feel. Big, chunky super soldiers, it looks absolutely amazing. I'm a bit disappointed because they don't have the special edition over here, so you can't order and get the miniatures. So it's got this awesome miniature of a space marine grabbing a xenomorph and like stabbing it while he's coming out of the ground. Looks cool, but I can't get that. But I'm super hyped for the game. Looks amazing. Looks like it's got a lot of melee focus. So that's definitely my top pick of the year. That's coming out, I think, September 9th. And to be honest, to be completely honest, when I'm in a gaming lull, I usually go back to my backlog, and that's sort of what I'm doing at the moment. For me, 2024 has been a little bit of a lull. So I'm really looking forward to that. There's another one that I'm really looking forward to as well, but I'll jump to the panel to save some games. Umbra, what are you most looking forward to coming up?
Black Myth Wukong, by far.
On PlayStation.
On PC, for sure. That is inappropriate for PC. I need the enlightened sound, please.
Oh.
Yes. Thank you.
He wants
now, you had to ruin it, didn't you?
Just calling it what it is.
It does sound like glitter bomb now that you say it. But no, Black Myth Wukong for sure. It looks spectacular. I love the combat design from what we've seen. Very Souls-like in some ways, but also not, because there's so much more flair in it. And that's what I love about our Asian creators. Like, they really know how to put combat into games so well. Yeah, man, visually too is stunning. Unreal Engine 5, of course. So I just can't wait to see how this thing plays. So hopefully there's no issues, technical issues, I guess, once it releases. But other than that, really excited for that.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of one of the ones that I'm super excited to see as well. But obviously with that issue with the it not coming to Xbox, it put a bit of a damper on the whole thing for me. I'm like, so it's I mean, eventually it will come, but we don't have a solid date for it, right? So that's
not yet.
That's it's a little bit disappointing.
All you know.
Do you? Let me guess. Do you guys think it was an issue of the Series S, because that's the go-to, or do you think it was like some type of secret thing? Them and Sony came to an agreement or something. What do you think? Because those are the narratives I'm hearing.
I'm going to go with, I think Sony did a backdoor deal. Pause. I really think they did. I mean, just based on the wording that came out of Microsoft, I think you don't say what they said if you weren't trying to make it clear that they didn't say it with their chest, but they're saying it without saying it, right?
It did sound like that. I agree. What about you, Blue? What was your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way, but I do think that if it was something very specific about the technical whatever, right, to port it to Xbox, that the studio would have actually commented on that. I feel like last time we talked about this, they had just said no comment or something like that. There's just a little too much like not talking about it that makes you just kind of think it's probably a little bit more of some hands were shaken or something like that somewhere along the way for something.
Some money exchanged, huh?
Yeah.
So what about you, Blue? What are you most looking forward to coming up in 2024?
Man, I like the end of this year, like the last 3 or 4 months. My list is probably like 35 games. It's so long. There's so many games coming out this year that I'm really excited for. I'll give you 4 that, and to be fair, 2 of these don't have a release date yet, but they were just said 24. So the ones we do know that have a release date is Dead Rising, the remaster. I'm really, really excited for that. Dead Rising is one of my favorite franchises. And then, of course, Call of Duty, because this Black Ops just looks flippin' awesome. And it's going to be all new everything. So I'm really, really excited for that. And then the other two that don't have dates is The Wolf Among Us 2, which, man, that first game is just, it's phenomenal. So really looking forward to that. And then the other one is Replaced. I have been
Oh
waiting and
yeah.
waiting for Replaced. And it's supposed to be late 24, but we shall see.
Is that a guarantee though? Is that
No, it was supposed to be the spring, and then in the spring they said fall 2024, and then we've just not heard anything. But it has to be close. It was at Summer Games Fest, the closed portion for media people to sit and play.
Mhm.
So there's a workable, I think it's very close. It's just a matter of, when they're fully comfortable. Plus, they were Ukrainian studios, so they had some delays with that, with everything else, just like Stalker.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I heard the build was pretty rough. So performance-wise, it was sort of struggling, which is
Well,
so
it's a
I
good
mean,
place to
obviously they're
test
going,
it then and get that feedback, especially if you don't have a
yeah.
date set for people. Then you have a little more, leeway for that.
I would just say they're optimizing at the moment, right? So Call of Duty, you mentioned. I'm interested to see how this one lands. I've traditionally, since Black Ops 2, not been a fan of Black Ops at all. Treyarch is not my studio. My studio has always been Infinity Ward. But this one, with the full rebuild from the ground up, looks much, much better. I was disappointed in the last Black Ops because we went for that like full graphical update, the rebuild, like it looked amazing. And then it sort of seemed to slip back to the real arcadey sort of look. So yeah, I'm super excited for Call of Duty to see where it's at. Best thing about it, it's on Game Pass, right? So this year I'm not forking out 120, to pick up because I always get the Vault Edition. That's probably usually 120, 130. So I'm super looking forward to that as well. Absolutely. Um,
Yeah, going to
I don't know,
Game
is there
Pass
anything?
is definitely a major W. That it feels like it doesn't get the proper, I guess, reverence it deserves. It's going to Game Pass. That's crazy to me. Something I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't buy, by the way. But shout out to Blue for gifting me one of them. But like it's just not what my go-to type of game. But like having that premium quality campaign alone is enough for me. So that's what I'll be jumping into. Multiplayer, probably not so much.
That skill issue.
And Modern
Yeah.
Warfare
It
3,
definitely is.
yeah, it is. It is a skill issue. So
Hey,
Modern
you ain't got
Warfare
to co-sign
3
him.
does drop. It does drop into Game Pass July 24th for Modern Warfare 3 for anybody who's listening and
Nice.
didn't want to put any money into it. So the sweats, like right now, I play it all the time, and it's nothing but sweaty MacGuffins in there, real bad. So it'll be probably a lot better after July 24th when it hits Game Pass. I'm hoping there'll be an influx of people who, want to hop in and
I
try it
mean,
out.
I've got no, like, how to say this without sounding like me. Hey, look, I'll just say it then. Look, I've got no issue with the sweats in COD. Like, you have your bad games, but like, there's much, much better players than me, but I'm not bad. And what bothers me about COD as it gets towards the later seasons is that it always becomes like you said earlier about Helldivers, it always becomes a metagame. Like it's just, if you don't have the meta, you don't want to use those particular weapons, then you're gonna have a harder time. I still kick some ass, but like I'm having a harder time, and I would be much much better served if I went with the meta. But that's my one issue with COD, and instead of sort of trying to drive away from that, they've leaned into it. Like they're focusing on, hey, this is the weapon for this update, and this is the weapon for this update, and I don't like that. I think that's I hate using this term, but I think that's sort of lazy development. I think you should focus. It's much, much harder to balance a full game than it is to. You still got to do the balancing, but than it is to like just go with a meta weapon. But I mean, that is what it is. I would like to see them sort of steer away from that.
We should do we should do just a full stream, like you and me, one day, just talking about Call of Duty in the current state that it's at, or something like that, and for like Modern Warfare 3, and then for Black Ops 6, and talk about the changes and all that stuff, and just go hard on all of those things, because you know not to make this a Call of Duty thing at the moment, but they have these weekly challenges and they're free. Anybody can do them, but that's how you can't unlock parts for the guns unless you do the challenges every week, right? Things
Yeah.
like that. And so that is also something that, either fair or not fair, like you have to log in every week. It's free, but you have to be there. You have to do the challenges to access those parts. That's a whole
Yeah, I mean,
conversation.
and there's a whole bunch of, I mean, just quickly, but there's a whole bunch of that stuff that I just don't have because I don't want to do it. Like I don't
Right.
want to do that stuff. So I don't do it. So then I end up getting stuck sort of with the weapons that I have and focus on the attachments that I have and make that the best gun I can, because all the challenges, I mean, they are flexible. I just don't like the system. The system should be like, if you use a gun, you should unlock attachments for that gun. Or if they
Yeah,
want to make
that's
attachments across the board, then fine, do that. But like, if you start to like a particular gun and you spend time with that gun, you should unlock things for that gun. Like that's and attachments, because I know you obviously unlock skins and stuff, but yeah,
but attachments you have
that
to unlock as well. Yep. Yep.
yeah,
I don't know how
but
you all do it. I've seen you guys, like people who will be posting like, "Oh, I got the such and such tier or whatever, and I got all these gold weapons now." They have to do all these different challenges to get to it. I'm like, that is just too much time
It's
investment.
not easy. The camo challenges are
no,
tough. Like, in
yeah,
different years they're different difficulties, but yeah, I enjoy
yeah. I
them,
mean,
but it is a
I've
weirdo thing to do.
I know it is, but I've done it as well. But like then I get there and I'm like, yeah. And then the worst thing is I got there like one season, then they added like 2 more tiers, and I'm like, I ain't. And you know what I'm like with that sort of stuff. I quit Ghost of Tsushima because they added in some unfair shit. Like after I cleared the first island, I was like, nah. So I literally quit COD when they did that. I'm like, stop, Dag. It's like you had the carrot here. I was just about to take that bite, and then they shift the carrot back. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Well, and
I'm not playing that game.
to that argument, that's one of the things of Black Ops 6, right? Is that they're saying like all of the prestige system is available day one. We're not going to be like dropping bits and pieces here and there. It's all accessible to you from the first day, right? So that's a callback to, trying to make everybody happy, right?
Just
Mm-hmm.
a bit of clarification, by the way. I mentioned earlier Star Wars Bounty Hunter for August, but you also have Star Wars Outlaws. That's the one I meant to say. Star Wars
Yeah,
Outlaws,
yeah,
another one.
yeah.
It's a big one. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big one that I'm also looking forward to as well. And from, I don't know if anyone, well, I'm sure most people who are watching this channel would know Jake Baldino. And he
I
has,
love
he
Jake
obviously
Baldino.
is, yeah, he's one of the leads of GamerX. And he is, oh, he also has his own channel. So he spoke quite at length about Star Wars Outlaws, and he's a Star Wars stan, just loves it. Like, and I want to love Star Wars, but they just keep hurting me. But I mean, Acolyte, guys. But he's saying that Outlaws is like what you want from an open world Star Wars game, from what he played of it. And that, I mean, Jake Baldino is usually pretty on point. He's pretty on point. He's a nice dude too. Love Jake Baldino. I think he's great. Him and Skill Up are like the two guys that I was sort of my go-tos and that I've been listening to since mostly they began. I was listening to Skill Up when he was a Division guy. Holly?
The only thing about Outlaws is I was gonna buy it because it seems like I love Massive because I love the Division. That's my favorite shooter. But the
So, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I can't help myself.
but if you saw the IGN first footage that they put up, it is looking pretty rough. I think a
Good.
lot of people have
Oh,
no, rough. Like it
well.
looks pretty rough. So like
You
if
mean
you can
like
find quite a few,
you mean like the
Fuzzy.
Oh
There's a lot
right,
of
so
people
the
who,
performance wise, not
yeah,
graphically.
yeah, right.
Okay.
So now I'm kind of like, well, it doesn't come out till the very end of the month, and we have 2 or 3 games that are coming within like 5 or 6 days of that one. So maybe I will just wait. You know, if it's got some issues and stuff, maybe I'll wait for it to be on sale a little bit later and see what happens. Which is a shame because I am really looking forward to that one. I think it looks great.
I'm pretty cool with that sort of stuff though. Like when it comes to having performance issues, I mean, yeah, I've got VRR, so that sort of takes up a lot of the. I mean, unbelievably, I used to get all that. I need to go back to Harry Potter because I quit playing Harry Potter. I never finished that because of the performance issues I was having, and the screen tearing that I was getting. I couldn't deal with that. Yeah, you're right. It does look a little bit having some performance issues. And
my only point is there's a bunch of games coming into Game Pass or like Astrobot, right, where you're gonna buy it probably.
Mhm.
Very close to this, and the prices that they're asking for this game, I don't see myself finishing this game in the 5 or 6 days before the other games come out. So for me, the financial decision is probably just wait and play the other games. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to wait anyway because I'll be at Gamescom when this releases. So there'll be no point me getting this, to sit in the backlog and wait till I get back. So
yeah, and with this fall, the way it's gonna be like March before there's ever any breathing room.
Yeah, my backlog continues to grow. I mean, look, I think this will be a hit. I really do. I think it'll be a really good game.
Yep, I agree.
There's a couple of things I'm a little bit unsure on, but if it's if the performance is not terrible, I dealt with Jedi Survivor, like no issues. Love that game. I had performance issues, but I was able to push through. But I mean, again, with Harry Potter, that's so bad. The screen tearing, I just couldn't deal with that. So yeah, I guess depending on where it's at, but I'm pretty excited for this one. I think we got a really good back end of the year. Pause. All right, we'll move on to the next topic because we've only got a little bit of time left before we have to hit the road. So we're going to be skipping one of them, and we're not going to skip the one that Holly didn't really like. We're going to go straight to that one.
Cool.
Da, da, da. Sorry. Well, it's hard. It's actually tough, this one, because Umbra was like, I don't really like that topic, and you were like, I don't really like the other topic. So I'm like, well, one of you is going to be disappointed, and if history is any judge, it's usually for me, the lady.
The first step
Pause.
is acknowledgement.
And it's not for a lack of not trying. See what I did there? I need to get a slurping sound so I can just hit the button and power through it. Well, look, we got two topics, and we're gonna skip one.
Yeah, that's
do the any, mini, miny, mo on it.
Do the
well, I mean, I wanted to talk about what I miss about gaming. Like I really do. And what do I love about gaming now? And they're almost the same thing, weirdly. So for me, gaming sort of started like way back with Pong. Like I went over to a friend's house and they had Pong, and that was my first introduction to any sort of gaming, which is like literally, you guys know what it is, but it's literally a line that goes up and you move up and down the screen to hit a ball that goes to another line, right? And then it sort of progressed. And as I got older, like I begged, because we weren't very rich. I begged for a console, and I had changed schools at this time like a couple of times. So not because we moved house or anything. It was solely my fault. I was a naughty kid. And because I changed schools, I didn't really have like a whole bunch of mates or a good friend group. And around that time, I had begged for a console. And I got what we called the Sega Mega Drive, but I think you guys called the Genesis. And my brother was at a bunch of mates' houses, and there was another dude there from my now school. And he my brother was talking about how he just got the Mega Drive, and this dude was like, "Oh, cool! Like I know him, but I didn't really know him well." And he just literally rocked up at my house, like because he heard I had a Mega Drive. He's like, "Oh, I was over at so and so's with your brother, and he said you had a Mega Drive. Can I play it?" I'm like, "All right, come on in, man." And that was introduction to someone who ended up becoming one of my best mates. And we spent a lot of time. He had a Super NES, so we'd spend time at my house when a new game dropped on the Mega Drive, and then we'd go and spend some time at his house when a new game dropped on the NES, on the SNES, and we did a lot of renting, right? Which you ponies would. I don't like to use the word pony, but a lot of the Sony PlayStation fans would make fun of, but I can almost guarantee the older ones are doing exactly the same thing. For you guys, Blockbuster, for us, Video Easy, and we'd go in like every weekend, we'd have a sleepover, and it wasn't like your good sleepovers because we'd be smoking the devil's lettuce and drinking, but we'd also be hiring out, games and consoles like the 3DO when it came out. We couldn't afford to get the Sega Dreamcast, either of us, so we hired that when we came out. And it was just some of the best gaming experiences I've ever had were in, that group of friends. We ended up having a pretty big group of friends. We'd have Mario Kart sessions where there'd be like 15 of us, and we'd just be like the loser would pass it on. One of my best mate's brother was he was the 1994 Nintendo champion. And I was telling Holly in the green room before, you came in, Umbra, before we started the show, that he was freakishly good. You don't win those championships if you're not good. The dude was amazing. So by the time we got to like PlayStation 1 and sort of that thing, he was like unbelievable. Tony Hawk, he wouldn't even touch the ground without doing a trick. His entire session was like trick after trick after trick after. You could not replicate it. Playing him in Tekken made me an absolute master of Tekken at the time. And I would always choose Bayek because there's the only character I could kick his ass with occasionally.
The kickboxer, right? Yeah.
He's the guy he's the only guy who only uses his legs, mostly his legs. So you could like chain together combos. Yeah, you could chain together combos in the air. So as soon as you got someone in the air, you could just chain together a whole bunch of combos, get him in the corner. And that was it. We had rules, right? So like you weren't allowed to corner someone. So if you're playing Tekken and you push him into the corner, you weren't allowed to do that. So like you had to back off. And then as I was saying to Holly as well, on the SNES, when we had the Mario Kart, sort of championships, or we're all sitting around, the rules were no red shells. So if you've never played Mario Kart, the red shells, which I'd be surprised if anyone watching this has, the red shells would track their seekers, right? But you weren't allowed to use those. So what we used to have to do was you would be driving along, you'd have to hop sideways, slide out, put your red shell into the wall, and then like come back and try to pick up another power up. It was green shells only. So you had to be like pinpoint accurate. It was just some really fun times. We had the LAN parties when the LAN came in as well. And it was really the whole thing that I miss about that is the in-person community of it, which we have a different type of community because times have changed. But I miss the in-person interactions, like the your turn next and the, don't skip the cutscene, dude. I want to watch it. And he's like, fuck it. Because he didn't like cutscenes. And I'm like, I miss that stuff. I miss him too. He passed away when he was 36. But I generally just miss that whole era, that period of gaming where we had some in-person interaction. You're in as well, being down at the local, we call it a deli, but maybe you guys call it something else, but it's just a little small corner store that has like a mishmash of everything, you'd have the machine set up there, and you'd finish school and everyone would head down there. You'd take turns, pumping in I think you guys call it quarters, but we just pump in 20 cents, pumping in your 20 cents, having like WWE when they had the arcade wrestling thing, and I'd always be boss man because who knew that I would turn out to look like him? I miss that about gaming. That's what I miss. And I guess what I love now is that we have such an interconnected community across seas. Like this is something that you just, and I said it on Ains's last night, and I don't convey positive feedback well. Something I need to work on. Negative feedback, you get that easily. but I wanted to say more on Ains's, but like just the community that's around Xbox for the most part, because we've had our problems and everyone has their problems within the community, and that happens. But the community that we have around Xbox as a wider community, you know, like a crew, there's the creators, the big creators, and then the sort of it sort of filters out into the people that are just within the community, not really creators. There's just some great people, man, and it's that's what I love now about gaming is we get to do this, we get to have conversations. You know, Umbra, I've known you for 4 years now. Absolutely crazy that we'd meet in a space and just get talking gaming, and a guy from Australia and a guy from Chicago, and Holly, you know, like I think we're coming up on a year anniversary. Oh, um, you know, we met at the we met at FanFest. Oh, I think we're over a year. We are over a year because we met at FanFest. We've had another one. You know, we met at FanFest and got talking about different games, talked about Division. And then, hey, now we're on a podcast together. We get to talk games every week. And you're from Chicago, coincidentally. Guys should hang out more. But like that's what I love. That's what I love about the gaming, you know, and even if I'm having a lull or whatever, or I'm not, you know, it's pretty rare that I'm not gaming, but I do have like weeks where I don't game. If I'm having a lull, I might just go through a whole bunch of documentaries and stuff. But you guys are always there, you know, and to reach out to. And you know, talking about Iron Lords, Cog, great to reach out to. He'll respond, talk to King David. Still talk to Tim Dog every now and again, like Cole, like all these guys you can sort of just reach out to and bounce ideas off, or just have a joke with, or Mag. Like I have a joke with Mag on a regular basis. Yeah, it's just a great community. So I guess what I love, what I miss, and what I love now are very similar things, but slightly different. So I guess I won't jump to Blue because I didn't have anything, so I'll give you some more time to digest. Bro, what about you? What do you miss about gaming, and what do you love about gaming now?
Yours is kind of similar to mine, but so I'm gonna make. I guess I'll change up my thoughts because mine was also like, how could I frame this? And I'm thinking, what did I miss? And it goes back generally to loss, right? It goes back to, like you mentioned, your friend who passed away at 36, and my brother passed away. And I often relate that to thinking about Halo and things like that, and playing Halo CE with the friends and family, much the same way you described it with Mario and everything like that, where everybody would come over, we would have the LAN parties or whatever, or just do split screen. And man, like those were some of the best times for sure, right? And
Yeah,
then I think about family outside of just in general, just family. I miss kind of the moments, and we still do it here and there, to be fair, but we've lost people. You know, I've lost my little cousin, I've lost my brother, and we will play like beside Halo, we will play Rock Band, for instance. We still have it. I bought a 360 again, maybe a few months back, so that me and my sister, for instance, could play Rock Band when we get together. So the hardest part is you load it up, you know, you log in, and you see your character creators and the curated characters of your family. So my cousin Shakira, her characters are still in my game. If I load up WWE, like, you know, past games, 19 or whatever, 2019, 2019, should I say, those characters are there. And it's always hard to kind of, you know, navigate through the menu to see that and kind of try to put that out of my mind as I'm trying to enjoy the game. You know what I mean? Uh, so I would say that is something I miss, is just having that family. I guess it's always just family and friends. So I do miss that aspect, but I will agree with you that having the case where now where we don't have to rely on split screen and can connect with people all across the world is a beautiful thing. So there is that. But I'm going to change it just because that was one that you kind of used. I'll say instead, I miss, and it's going to sound kind of pessimistic, but I miss when games launched content and feature complete. Games used to always kind of release that way, and it was a no brainer for us to get all those outfits, extra outfits, or new game plus or whatever in older games. Whereas now, it's like it's not even. It's typically, it feels like it's not even a
A
forethought. Like
finished product.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna get half a product. It's best to wait. It seems like it's no urgency for them to give us feature content and complete games nowadays. And even, I mean, even technically, like on issues the games have, they release even technically flawed compared to some games in the past. Not to say that past games didn't release flawed either, but you just go back to some of those games, I guess, in simpler times, and it just feels like everything was there,
Hmm.
be they good or bad, it was all there. Now it's just like, well, patch number 32 should fix that, you know. So I would guess if I had to use something different, I would just say I miss rather that gaming is not typically release polished and fully content rich nowadays as they used to be in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is a bit of a bugbear, I think, with the entire gaming community because I mean, I don't know. Like as well, the other thing was when they released it, they were focused on other things. So they more focused on gameplay for the most part. I mean, everyone remembers ET. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and that's something you don't get anymore since the DLC, the advent of DLC or the 360 era. That's when that started to sort of happen. It's like, oh, we'll patch that in later, and I don't think that's a developer mindset. I think developers always want to give us everything that that they want to have in the game. But I think that's a corporate mindset where they're like, yeah, they haven't got it done. We're releasing anyway. You can patch it in later. So I think that was a great like addition to gaming that just has a poor side effect. Yeah, I completely agree with that. And going back to split screen, did you ever play Bond with split screen? That was
Yes, yes, we did. Yep.
so good. It was another rule, and you weren't allowed to look at the other guy's thing, but you always did. And then we had another rule: you're not allowed to
Always.
play odd
Yep.
job. Like
Pause, by
no
the
one was
way,
allowed to
but yeah,
play.
you said
Yeah,
look at the other guy's thing. But yeah, my my brother, for instance, he would always get the golden gun. If you get the golden gun, it's over with. One shot, one kill. That's
yeah, that
it.
was banned. So we
Yeah.
banned that, and you couldn't play odd job. So like that was the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
We always came up with these fucking weird rules for every game that things you weren't allowed to do because it made the game too easy, like and unfair.
Yeah.
And I'm playing with a bunch of guys that like they had probably I saw them collectively as brothers go through minimum 16 controllers, minimum. Like that, I've seen them snap the mid game, like and then throw the controller and
Oh yeah.
film off. They were
My uncle
that
used to
kind.
do that.
They were
Yeah.
those kind of players,
You know what's
passionate.
great? My uncle would do that, smash the controller into the floor, whatever. Like we used to play Street Fighter 2, all the different Street
Yeah.
Fighter 2s, Turbo, Super, or whatever. And he would crack that controller so hard across the floor if he lost a match or something. This game is stupid. They cheated, blah, blah, blah. And then what was funny is that he knew how to solder. So he would solder it back together, the circuitry and everything. And you have a tore apart looking like jigsaw looking controller that still works. Hilarious.
Uh, yeah, yeah. I've seen some horrific fights over gaming in that time. That like proper physical fights because someone broke the rules that we had made up. And there was three. There was three of them. There was three brothers, but two of them I was close to. He was my best mate, and the other guy was accidental. Close to, but yeah. I don't know why that happened. Holly, we have got about 10 minutes and then I got to wrap. But what do you miss and what do you love about gaming now?
Uh,
I
I
got
don't
nothing.
really have
Please hold.
anything that's too. I don't really have anything that's too like off of where you guys are. I thought both of yours were good. Like, for example, 3 or 4 years ago, I had a friend that we just wanted to play Gears multiplayer, and they were gonna crash in my spare bedroom because we're having a party and all these people over, whatever. Literally had to bring their entire TV, their Xbox, everything, right? Because there was just no way for us to sit and play in the same room, right? Like, and so you kind of miss like just the ability to be able to do that when when somebody is around. And co-op and split screen is not really a thing that happens that much anymore. And obviously we're so grateful to have the capacity to play around the world now, but they did kind of take that local just fun experience. We were sitting in my living room with me on the TV that I have, and then brought the TV up from the basement. They brought their Xbox and it sat on the coffee table. And like we're both with headsets on, like are like it was ridiculous, but it was it was funny. But um so that kind of goes to your point. And then the to Umbra's point, I was thinking we get a lot of fantastic single player games now as it is, right? Like I am not disparaging anything that we're getting now. Um, but there is something about, and it kind of just bleeds to what Umbra was talking about. Just really beautiful, polished, lovely single player games that hit the mark and that are memorable, and that it's really something special when you get it. And it's really the 360 era, right? And Cold always talks about this, right? What's your favorite game? Almost all of them are from the 360 era. Right? Like mine is
Mhm.
BioShock, right? But then Dishonored is my second favorite game. That was also 360 era. And then Red Dead Redemption is one that a lot of people love, the original, right? So like when you think about that, and Last of Us, right? All of those games hit the mark very well. They were made for a lot less money. They were fully flushed. They were memorable experiences. And I'm not saying that we don't get those now, but they just hit different.
Mhm.
So I don't know what that is. I don't know what's missing, not missing, or if it's just a perspective issue. And 5 years from now, we'll be thinking about these games that, kind of the way we look back at some of those other games that we're talking about. But there is something to be said for that. And then also, playing Nintendo with my dad and some of the crazy, weird, goofy games he would come home with, like from the Bible shop or from, like they made these Nintendo cartridges that had Christian themed games, and like they were a blast. Like honestly, they were the most fun game. Like besides Mario, they were about the most fun games that you could actually play on Nintendo. And my dad, who would tolerate Mario here and there, was like, "Let's play." I was like, "Yeah, let's play." Right? And then you'd write down the codes. And they were all old, at this point, but that's what he was willing to do. So I was like, "Let's do it." Right? And you'd write down the codes for the levels to make sure that you could go back and then keep going. And that was that was just something very special from that time that we don't have anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah. That physical that's sort of taken away as well, right? Even just the in person of like shooting the shit with the guy at the store, you know,
yeah,
that's like a I still do it. Like if I go get a physical, I mostly get physical for PlayStation, mostly. Um, but I probably only do it when I think about it, so I can shoot the shit with the guys at the store. But even the guys at the store aren't the guys at the store anymore. You know what I mean?
no,
Like the
yeah,
the people behind the counter used to be just like hardcore nerds that you could really have a proper talk with about gaming, and it was the only time you got to have those sort of chats because you didn't want to go approach a person at your workplace or like like someone in real life because like oh gamer nerd. There was that stigma. Still is, but it's much less, right?
yeah.
Um,
And one
so
other
yeah,
thing
that
too, one other thing I just thought of is that, we're in this era of fantastic handhelds, but there was nothing more special than trying and begging to get your friend to let them like play your game, like to let you play their Game Boy, right? Because Game Boys were like, or DS or whatever, right? Like they
mhm,
were so cool and they were so fun and they were easy and they weren't complicated. their battery didn't run out in an hour. Like, you know what I mean? Like all of the stuff, right? And there's just something kind of fun about an easy, non-fussy handheld. And that kind of goes to, like the complexity of what we have now, right? And the cost that it's associated with those.
Yeah, the cost is paying for these things is something that I now hate, because my parents would maybe buy one console. They bought me one. I got one. Yeah, things are a little bit more complex these days, but we do have to wrap because I'm definitely at time. But I just want to quickly do a quick wrap up. But thank you both, because this is really short notice. Donte couldn't make it through this week because he had no power. He was planning to be here, and Garuda's working. So yeah, it's really unfortunate we couldn't have those two both on, but this would have blown out to like a 3-hour podcast, I think, if we done that. So a short one, a little bit of different content. Guys, let us know what you think in the chat. Let us know which I'll upload this as a premiere, so there can be a chat, because obviously I want you guys to be able to interact with each other, and hopefully I'll be there. And there's probably no point saying that now because I've already done it. It's the back end of the show. Whatever. But thank you, Holly, for coming through. Thank you, Umbra. Umbra, just want to let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to next week. Then we'll jump to Holly, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, man. Good show, good talk. I think it's funny how we all kind of relate one way or another when it comes to gaming, at the core of it. So yeah, good people, good to be in you guys' presence and learn and talk and chill with you guys. And grow, I guess, too. So yeah, you guys can find me, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way on Twitter X. Tuesdays with Boom, Xbox Factor at 12 o'clock Eastern. My show, The Fix with Daniel J. McGee on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. And of course, back here with these good folks, usually on Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern. Thank you guys for coming through.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming through. Holly, let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to.
Yep. Tuesday nights I'm on the Renegade Realm podcast on Red Wolf's channel, but this is airing on the 26th US time, I believe. So this coming Sunday, which is July 28th at 11 Central, so noon Eastern, on the Iron Lords podcast on the Iron Lords YouTube channel, we are doing a massive gamers outreach charity stream. It's going to be 4 or 5 hours with a bunch of guests. Seamus Blackley, Larry Herb, Jeff Rubenstein, Colt, Ainsley, of course, the Lords. Ben and I will be there, and because we're sponsoring this thing, and there's going to be giveaways. There's going to be a Series X. There's going to be a full set of coins in a unique, one of a kind packaging made by Geek Made Designs, and also a Pit Boy.
What's it made
like
of?
The
What's the packaging made of?
wood. It's yes, I knew you were doing that. Like, you're so obvious. So so anyway, that's at noon. Come by, support charities, just watch the stream. It's gonna be really great. There's gonna be some surprise guests that are gonna pop in. So come by and see what's up. Say hi.
Absolutely. And I'll get a link to that as soon as I can, and I'll pop it down in the description. If we have it by next week, I'll pop it down below when I've got it, so you guys can head down below. Also, everyone's links from the show is down in the description. Head there, click on that, follow, like, share us out, and we'll see you next week. We'll be live for that one. I hope, because I'll be in Spain. We'll talk about that when we get there. Have a great week.